The Green Bay Packers offered a contract comparable with what the Ravens contract offered. Would he still be a Packer today?
Yes.
Jaire's dad says what's going on. 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 Jaire, can I come over to Baltimore? Baltimore. We can hang around and play catch with Lamar. Play catch with Lamar. Did Goody give you a contract you want? Contract you want? December 28th at Lambeau, you can taunt at Lambeau around and play catch. I know we're not the defense that we used to be. Since Joe Barry walked out, it's all about Halfley. Jaire's dad says what's going on. You're moving out and we waited for so long. Jaire, can't you see? You're just not the bag for me. I know it might be bad, but I'm a fan of Jaire's dad. Jaire's dad says what's going on. Jaire's dad says what's going on. And away we go on a Friday edition. Mr. Relevant, I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gerber Law Offices, One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Josh DiMaggio's here, shaking his head at me. Will Summers is here. And Hunter Vaughn, as always, back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. That is my Packers parody song for this week, Joshy.
I wish this bit would end.
I got bad news. I love it. I'm having so much fun with it.
Maybe we need to find something where you could just play these for yourself and we could pretend other people are hearing you. Trick you of some sort. You sing like somebody who has hearing issues. Like you don't know what your own voice
What are you talking about? I thought I crushed it today.
You've never crushed it?
Oh, that's not true.
Why are you
When
such
it
a
comes to these
hater?
songs, zero crushing.
Yeah, you hate music.
No.
You hate art.
I hate bad music. I'd say I'm one of the world's foremost art entertainers.
Oh, come on.
Art enjoyers.
You just lied. I'm going to pull what you said to me earlier this week.
No.
You just lied.
A few people consume more music and more literature than I do. Few people on earth.
Will, what'd you think?
I heard the beat of the Stacy's mom coming from the room that you were working in this morning, and I liked that song, so I was pumped. I thought this was your best one yet. It actually made me laugh, legitimately. So,
Thank you,
good
Will.
job.
Appreciate that. Yeah, not a hater, Will Summers, known as a non-hater.
Not a known disliker.
Correct. And also not bragging about the amount of literature he takes
Yeah,
in.
you notice he snuck that in.
What a
just
douche,
Just
huh?
after saying he listens to music, he's like, by the way, I also read literature.
That's art. You were talking about art.
Nobody has suffered more arm injuries from patting themselves on the back on this program than Josh DiMaggio.
You were the one who went art. If you wanted to keep in music, we could have had that discussion. But you tried to get highfalutin and call what you're doing art.
We're going to have to put
Instead of
Josh on the
insult.
IL because he's going to have to get Tommy John
Yes.
from patting himself on the back so much.
Hey, you.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to save Hunter from this because he's generally pretty smart, even though he was part of that. 2 of the 4 people on this show could be greatly served by reading more.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Care to enlighten me?
Well, yeah. Duh.
I think it would do you well in life, in a lot of things.
Thanks for that, Captain Obvious. Hunter, what'd you make of the song this week?
It was so bad it was good. Like, it was a negative 10 out of 10. It was horrendous and awful in all the right ways.
That's the whole thing. These are all the equal level of bad that at some point there's diminishing returns.
Oh, but this one, it's still fresh. This is only week 4.
Yeah, and it's 4 weeks. I think you got a thing about being publicly humiliated.
You think I have a kink or what?
Yes.
No, I think I just understand the field in which I work in.
I don't kink shame.
I just want to throw out there real quick, an intern walked into the room right when the first sentence you said was, I don't kink shame.
But
She's like, what the hell did I just walk into?
There's some degree here of you like to be humiliated.
Hunter, do you think that's true? I don't know that that's true. I think that's just how it happens often.
I think we're bordering, like, we're getting very close into a weird thing that we might have to tell you to go to therapy for. We're not quite there, but we're getting close.
Well, speaking of which, don't forget this Wednesday, June 25th, I will be throwing out the first pitch at the Lakeshore Chinooks game at Capco Stadium in Mequon as they take on my former employer, the Green Bay Rockers. Spent the season as their PA announcer. In Green Bay. That was 6 or 7 years ago.
I'm going to injure myself patting myself on the back. The amount of times you have to mention the insignificant jobs you've held, like my former employer, a team that I didn't know existed before you said the name. Like, what was that?
Yeah, but
now you're just lashing out,
I
Josh.
mention it. Yeah, I mention it because it's a special moment for me. Because they're going to introduce me for the first pitch, and somebody on that sideline is going to go, oh, yeah, I remember
I hope
him.
no one's listening, but this is akin to throwing out the first pitch of like a high school game.
Wow.
Are you getting a jersey to wear?
I might buy one. I don't know if
You
they're
should.
gifting me one or not.
You could probably get a custom
Yeah,
one.
you got to get a jersey at least.
Yeah, I would agree.
What number?
I'll buy something that...
I guess it's a little different, though, when you beg to throw out the first
I didn't
pitch.
beg. I didn't beg.
You begged.
This one was offered.
You begged.
I begged a different team, and that has not come to light yet. This one was an offer.
I got my Northwoods League begging mixed up. That's on my fault.
I agree.
That's my bad.
That one's on you.
I'll take the hit there.
That's so good, man. That's so good. All right, we got a ton to get into today on Mr. Irrelevant. Hunter's been planning for this Giannis talk thing all week. So Hunter's eventually going to grab the bull by the horns. We will play our third ever edition of Story Swap in a bit as well. But let's start with Jaire's dad. You heard the quote at the beginning. He joined Kyle, Brust and Nortman on Wednesday and essentially told all, right? Like it was almost like the Bachelorette version of Men Tell All or Women Tell All. Like this was Jaire's dad tells all on the eventual divorce between the Packers and Jaire Alexander. Obviously, he winds up in Baltimore. If you missed any of our reaction to the Jaire to Baltimore signing, you can catch that on Wednesday's edition, episode 266 of Mr. Irrelevant from earlier in the week. You can find that at ESPN Wisconsin app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify. But, you know, I thought his insight was important. Now, here's the thing. You have to take it with a grain of salt, right, Joshy? Like, I think you and I would probably reach the same conclusion there. He obviously has an interest, and that interest would be his son. And he was defending him, and he's been doing it for weeks now on social media. And, you know, he was given the opportunity earlier this week on ESPN Wisconsin to kind of give his side and Jaire's side of the story, which led to the eventual divorce. I don't know if, I don't know. Hey, Will, good to see you in studio, man. Thanks for being in here. You get a haircut?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Looks
cool. You're the only one.
Yeah, it looks good. I think, Joshy, that, you know, it was kind of fun context, but again, I don't know how much of it is 100% true.
I think it's mostly true.
I tend to agree.
I think there might be a little rewriting of the history where I don't think Jaire signs the same exact deal he did with the Packers, with the Ravens, as he would with the Packers. I mean, it's pretty clear to me. The Packers and Jaire both knew it was unlikely they were going to come to a restructured contract, and Jaire has every right to do what he did. They're saying we want to give you a lesser contract, make it incentive-based. That also means he can be traded anywhere, and they can do whatever they want with his terms. So for him to say, no, I don't want to accept a lesser contract, even though his dad said he would, I think they accept one that is higher than the one the Ravens give him, most likely, because you're realizing at that moment that you are able to sort of, in a way, control your destiny because you still have a contract. It's important that we kind of try and figure out we're both Jaire and the Packers sort of done with each other and ready to move on? Because that's the main point I am stuck with. And we can point to the Packers taking so long to release him. like once it became clear he wasn't going to accept a different contract so they could trade him, that should have probably been the moment they just said, all right, we're done with this.
Tend to agree.
And I think it goes a little different, even if that, like, I think the Packers made a PR mistake here. People certainly would still be disappointed in it, but if you just kind of let him go and figure out it, like, bygones are bygones at this point. Now this storyline has carried on the entire offseason. It's going to continue to boil over because it took so long to come to a decision, and then he also signs that contract.
Yeah.
Which, like, we know, and I find it interesting that we know the parents who are vocal around the Packers.
We do.
The first time I knew Jaire's dad had a Twitter account was
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think his dad becoming more vocal is a coincidence.
I would agree with that 100%.
I think that it's a deliberate way for them to sort of try and write their own story to a story that was really only being told from one side.
Yeah.
So I think the truth is in the middle. I don't think Jaire would be here on a 4-year, $4 million contract.
Totally agree with that.
I don't think and the main part here is Jaire receives his full bonus for 50% of games played. The Packers' issue is he can only play 50% of games. So the expectation is even lower.
Yep.
Like, I'm sure there was incentive. I'm sure it was literally a game by game process. Every day you're on the active or every game you're on the active, you get money. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Jaire liked that. Because to set the parameters at 50% is crazy.
Crazy. I'm with you on that. I don't know that we'll ever know all the ins and outs of it, but I thought it was interesting context and kind of helped.
I thought it was a good job. I thought I was glad I heard him speak. I am a little dubious of we thought Jaire was coming back and there was kumbaya conversations. What were those? Was it Matt LaFleur being like, hey, happy birthday, you're a great player, and like I'd like to have you on the team? Because like we've seen Matt LaFleur do stuff like that a lot.
Yeah.
Where he very deliberately and I think smartly pins himself as the middleman between Goody and the players.
I was just about to say the same thing. Yep.
Where he builds favor by saying, I think you deserve money. I think you should
he's a player's coach.
Yeah.
Right? And he's always going to have their back. And, the other part of that is he doesn't make the roster decisions at the end of the day, right? That's not Matt LaFleur's job. Matt LaFleur's job is to coach the guys that are on his team. And as far as he is concerned, Jaire was under contract this entire offseason, right? It's as simple as that. So the expectation for Matt LaFleur, while he obviously knows more than maybe he leads on sometimes because he's involved in those conversations, he is always going to pick the player's side because it's just the smart decision no matter what happens.
Right. It makes your job easier.
Bingo.
It also helps sort of make a bad guy in the situation, even if, like, I'm sure there's situations where Matt LaFleur plays the good guy, but he's part of the bad guy when he's talking with Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball and whoever.
Because you have to make a business decision at the end of the day. And that doesn't mean you don't like somebody.
And I think they all understand that. And the front office probably doesn't take any of that personally.
No, I think you and I agree on this. So, interesting context. If you missed that conversation, you can find it on the ESPN Wisconsin app with Jaire Alexander's father, Landis Alexander, and the KBN crew. Very terrifically produced show each afternoon from 2 to 5 on ESPN Wisconsin.
I think it was important. It's also important to, like, if you actually drill down to the conversation, the idea that they were unwilling to come to a contract agreement because they were fear of being traded somewhere sort of tells you they weren't really going to agree to that unless there was somehow some like guarantee, like a no trade clause put into the re-sign contract. Yeah. Because if we're signing any sort of lower offer, like Jaire's contract is one of the most tradable in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Like that's easy money for like any team to take on. Mm-hmm. So if that's a number he was willing to sign for, how do they alleviate the fear of signing it and then getting traded? Which I don't think makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when you boil it all down.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I haven't thought about that until this very moment.
I didn't until I just said it.
Okay.
But
working through it together, though.
Yeah. If you put it together, it inherently would lend itself to Jaire being unwilling to sign the same contract he did with the Ravens because
that's I don't know if I believe him when he says
Yeah.
that. I don't because there's way more complications in Green Bay
Yes.
than there would be in a fresh start, right?
Right.
Which ultimately ended up being Baltimore for him.
And clearly, they believe his injury was misdiagnosed, and that's a thing that's going to linger with them.
Yep.
Like, true or not, he did have a surgery in the offseason. Now, plenty of players have tons of surgeries in the offseason, and many of them correctly aren't. Like, it's not required to be operated on, but it will in the long term be better for you to get it operated on. Like, I mean, Chewy talks about all the time. Like, you'll miss time, but you can't really make it worse. Yep. With what you're doing, and the Packers and Jaire clearly disagreed on something, and I don't know how you come back from that, especially with the way Matt LaFleur, who is the players coach, but the way he behaved when Jaire missed some of those games,
he was not thrilled.
No, and that was obvious to me.
All right, okay, I need a gavel. I don't know if we have a gavel. What's this?
We do have a sounder.
I don't know if any of us have that ready. I'm just going to use this as a gavel. Hold on. That's actually not a bad sound for that. I am making a declaration. I am making a rule on Mr. Relevant going forward. Yeah. The name Jaire Alexander is banned until training camp begins. We're done talking about it.
It's fine by me.
Yeah, I think that's fair now.
Yeah, we're done. Wish him well.
But what if he goes out and trashes the Packers?
I will lift the ban.
Okay, so
soft ban.
It's more. Yeah,
it's a soft ban.
It's
yes.
more of a suspension.
Yeah.
Because ban to me is dead.
Permanent, that's true.
Yeah.
Because when training camp starts, and then obviously there will be the Week 17 matchup between the Ravens and the Packers.
I don't know if Jaire's going to be able to help himself.
From trashing?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be too bad.
But he probably won't talk until training camp, so I think we'll be okay. But regardless, banned.
Unless he says something.
Suspended. Soft ban. Let's move on. I'm fascinated by something with the Packers we haven't talked a lot about. And that would be the drama in the Packers offensive line room. There's a ton of stuff going on in that room that is kind of just flying under the radar as we are here a little bit over a month away from training camp beginning. Now, we have discussed at least a little bit the Elton Jenkins scenario. And that is effectively, he wants more guaranteed money because he is doing something for the betterment of the team by switching positions.
And going to a position where you typically get paid less.
Yep.
So as part of that.
But he, their whole game plan once they signed Aaron Banks, the new left guard, was they were going to kick him inside, which he approved. He was in the loop on, he was asked about, he said he'll do it. But he wants more guaranteed money. And that seemingly should be the easiest situation to figure out. The other situations. Zach Tom, star right tackle. Needs a contract extension. He's entering the final year of his deal. Goody appeared on Cheesehead TV earlier this week with Aaron Nagler and Corey Banke and effectively said, yeah, we've had really good conversations. It's in our plans to lock him up. Okay, we can solve that one. Now, an old friend has reemerged on social media. An old friend by the name of Pretty Ricky.
I think he goes by Slick Rick now.
I believe he's by Slick Rick.
He's gone from pretty to slick.
So, for those of you that aren't aware, about a year and a half ago, our friend Colin Russo was still working at ESPN Madison at the time. He came on this program and said, Strouf, have you heard about Pretty Ricky? And me and Hunter thought he was on drugs or something. We had no idea what the hell he was talking
You ever
about.
heard the band Pretty Ricky?
Well, yes, the band, but he was referring to a person on Twitter who was an NFL insider, allegedly. And we're like, we have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, this guy's incredible. He's been tweeting things out before they happen. And we're like, okay. So the long and short is Pretty Ricky is somebody who is believed to have some sort of inside info. He works for an agency or he works for the league.
An agent. It's somebody who works for one of the big agencies.
So he gets all this information and he leaks it under the pseudonym Pretty Ricky. And he got a couple things wrong last summer or maybe during the season. So he shut down his account, but he now made a new account. And Joshy sent this to us. I don't know if it was Wednesday night or yesterday morning.
I think Wednesday night.
And Pretty Ricky tweeted, excuse me, Slick Rick Scoops tweeted, the Packers are working on an extension for left tackle Rasheed Walker that they hope to have done before training camp. So before we dive in like this is a fact, consider the source. Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong.
Mostly
but this
right,
would
though.
certainly throw Yeah, mostly right there.
The thing is, the incentive to make up a story about Rasheed Walker is so little. There's one fan base that even knows who he is.
Yeah.
Like, if you're making up something about a Trey Hendrickson or TJ Watt extension,
that's one thing.
That's right.
Agreed.
But Rasheed Walker, who's an afterthought to, let's be honest here, probably the majority of even Packers fans.
Correct.
To me, would be a weird way to try and get engagement and interactions. Like, Rasheed Walker getting an extension ain't doing numbers.
Right. Rasheed Walker isn't a needle mover.
Right.
But I think this is really, really important to acknowledge because the moral of the story here is, look, the Packers have a lot of decisions to make on their offensive line after this season or during this season, right? Zach Tom is one of them. Rasheed Walker is one of them. Sean Ryan, the right guard, is one of them. And if they are going the route, as I just mentioned, the general manager literally said it's in their plans to lock up Zach Tom long term, and now you have this report that their other tackle, Rasheed Walker, is getting locked up long term. What does that tell you what the Packers think of last year's first-round pick? What did the Packers think of Jordan Morgan? Because if this is true, both of these are true, that tells me a guy you drafted to play tackle who said on draft night he's looking forward to protecting Jordan Love's blind side. What does that tell you they think of him? Because to me, it says they are not in love with Jordan Morgan, nor the development or lack thereof that he's made through his first season plus in the NFL. And that's concerning because it's another first-round pick under Brian Gutekunst, which seemingly is not going to work out at least the way that you intended it to work out.
I think while I understand why your brain's going there, I think you're reading into it too much. I think you've got a very good player in Rasheed Walker, also a player that I think the Packers front office has let us know they weren't as sold on or happy with the offensive line performance as to what we thought they were, and many of the graders and people do it. With where Jordan Morgan was drafted, that is totally fine for that to be a starting tackle. Now, you need to be a damn good one as a starting guard. I know we got excited, left tackle, he's going to hold down the blind side next decade, new David Bakhtiari, all that. Drafting a guard at that position is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And especially if it ends up being a plus player at that. Like, it doesn't matter to me a whole lot where Jordan Morgan plays. It matters to me how good he is.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think ultimately what it looks like, if this is true, this Rasheed Walker news, they're not signing him to extension to make him a backup, right? That's just not going to be the case.
You'd have a very hard time convincing that player to take backup money who's slated to have or compete for a starting job. And has done it.
Does that mean Jordan Morgan then, to your point, kicks inside and Sean Ryan walks after this season? He's your right guard of the future, probably, right? He split some snaps there last year.
Yeah, but I think it has a lot to do with Elton Jenkins is getting towards the end here. He's probably going to get a little bit more guaranteed money, and they're probably done with him. They're going to move guys around that they think can play there, and they're just going to keep around the guys they believe in the most. And right now, obviously, Elton Jenkins is probably the one everybody's most convinced is good, but Goody is not afraid for moving on a year early.
No.
And Elton Jenkins might still have some good left in him after he leaves the Packers, but I don't think he's long for the Packers. He's one of the oldest players on the team. He's also one of the best players on the team.
Yeah.
But they also jumped ship on Devontae early because they didn't want to play him through, into his 30s and 30s.
No, you're totally right on that. And that's why I'm just a little nervous. I think that's ultimately the conclusion.
I also think we have to take a look at the Aaron Banks contract.
A big one?
Yes, it was a big contract, but in classic Packers fashion,
it's only like a 2-year deal.
They
right?
give themselves a lot of outs, and they are paying Aaron Banks a lot of money. He will end up getting a lot from the Packers, but they figured in their cap and they made it so that's not a contract where you're like, it's 4 years of Aaron Banks. After 2 years of Aaron Banks, you're kind of back to where you started.
Yeah.
And I also think there's a little bit, and you're kind of playing with fire by doing this. A great way to get a good player for under what their value is is to make them play backup, not give them opportunities, and then say, "Oh, guess what? Looks like you're our starter now." And then you resign them before that. They're a little bit undervalued, a little bit underpriced.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason Rasheed Walker should probably still be in a competition. If you win it 2 years in a row, it's kind of your job, isn't it?
I would agree. You'd think, but when you invest a first round pick in a guy who went, Hunter was running me through the list of names that were drafted after Jordan Morgan, Xavier Worthy and Nate Wiggins, I believe, were the two immediately next two picks.
Yeah, I mean, I got bad news for you. Xavier Worthy or a guy like Xavier Worthy never ever going to be a Packer. Too small.
Well, they just drafted Matthew Golden.
Who's larger, denser.
Denser in terms of heavier?
Yes.
Gotcha. Not as quick, though.
No. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't even know how good Wiggins is. I know he was highly touted.
Yeah.
What he was his first year in the NFL, I have no clue.
Well, as you look at the Packers cornerback depth chart, the point I'm making is it just wouldn't hurt.
I don't think the Packers would. Would you feel better if it was Nate Wiggins, Keyshawn Nixon?
I'd feel better, yes.
Okay. Could you tell me how Nate Wiggins played last year? Or just because he has a brand name of a first round pick?
I could not tell you the ins and outs of his
You're
statistics.
sticker shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what you do. I mean, that's
not what you should do.
I'm not agreeing. I'm not disagreeing
You're
with
supposed
that.
to be better than that as an analyst.
Have I ever once been referred to as an analyst?
I think, yeah.
Will?
Unless you've self-referred to yourself as an analyst.
And I haven't. Have you ever looked at me and gone, God, that guy's a good analyst?
I think you view yourself as one.
People did call you that on the comments of the 3-cone drill. Like, these are the NFL analysts.
That's true. People did call me that. It's true.
And if the internet said it, then it's true.
Look, let me just say this, Josh. I'm really proud of the show we've built, right? We're 267 episodes into this thing. I think we have a really fun rapport. I think we do a good job when we talk about the sports topics, right? The actual football topics. That was my phone. Don't worry about it.
I had to leave last time, so I was starting to have flashbacks.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And look, I'm very proud of the show we've built, is ultimately the point here. But I don't think any of our loyal listeners, what Will refers to as the MIA, the Mr. Irrelevant Army, I don't think anybody in the MIA comes here and goes, you know what I come to Mr. Irrelevant for? Strouf's analysis. No, that's not why they come to the show.
Yeah, not in like replacement of Jason Wilde's.
Right.
But they are coming here for your Packers opinions.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I also think my opinions are different than those of Jason Wilde's, and I mean that in a good way. Thus why it keeps me employed.
Yours are
goofy.
Also, I'm a fan and I operate as a fan, and Giannis isn't a diva, and no, he's not a tradable asset. Like, all that type of stuff.
That's entertainment, baby. Welcome to showbiz.
That's a great little weapon for you to have in your back pocket when you say something that you probably go, maybe I was a little out over my skis.
I understand that sometimes I'm disagreeable, but that's okay.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Okay. But anyway, my point is, I don't think anybody's going, that guy's an analyst.
I think you suspend reality a little bit when you get into fan brain mode.
Yeah.
Oh, and no other fan does that. That doesn't make Strouf relatable to other fans then, Josh?
I didn't. Why are you getting so offended?
I'm not offended.
What was that?
What are you talking about?
I didn't say it wasn't relatable. I just said our job's a little bit different than a fan.
Why did you get offended and accuse me of being offended? I'm not.
What's happening?
You're more offended than I'm offended.
No, I wasn't.
Fix this. Fix this.
Escalated so fast. Both you guys say sorry to each other right now.
Thank you, Will.
I didn't do anything. I have nothing to apologize for.
Apologize.
I could hear Hunter clutching his pearls through the microphone.
I didn't get upset.
He had his pearls. They're clutched.
They're clutched. Can hear the clutching. I can hear his fingers turning red.
Maybe I read it wrong, but you sounded so indignant. I was like, what happened?
Yeah, no, definitely was not upset at all.
Maybe it's just your voice.
Probably.
All right, everybody's good here?
Yeah.
Everybody's good?
I'm never going to get actually mad at anybody on the radio.
That'd be weird. Like, it takes a lot for that to actually happen. That'd be weird.
I've gotten mad a few times.
I've gotten mad in the moment. As soon as you go to break, not in this show, but go in all.
We don't have breaks
yeah.
here.
I'm saying, but like as soon as I like get a step away from the immediate argument, you're like, we're talking.
Do you need to take a lap?
No.
Okay, we're good?
No.
All right.
Maybe I'll take a lap in my chair.
Here we go. That was so dumb.
I love this show.
That was so dumb.
It's a quick lap.
That was... the dumbest thing that's ever happened
That didn't just happen, right?
on this show. That might go down as the dumbest moment of all time. Josh spun in his chair.
This is a quick reset.
Wow. All right. Hey, it's summer, baby, but people need to understand how to behave, man. I was at Juneteenth yesterday, great event. I was at Summerfest last night, great event, enjoying the weather. I was out at a pool last night.
A pool?
Yeah, I went to a pool in the middle of the
Who the hell is a pool?
Our friend Maddie from our digital media.
I
Yeah.
mean, her apartment has a pool. She doesn't own
her
it.
apartment has a pool, yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
You need pool friends.
Brother, we have some over there. We have probably about a 70-year-old man named Richard. And we just blame him anytime anything goes wrong. So I'll just be in the pool and I'll just randomly yell, "Damn it, Richard!"
Is Richard there? Or
Yeah, Richard was there, yeah.
what does he say?
He just laughs.
Okay.
That's just, I think it's just a thing.
You kids.
I don't know.
That's a good bit.
But yeah, just like people not knowing where to walk and people getting too drunk and throwing up places and stumbling all over. And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
We're all here for fun. Can we behave? That's coming from me. I know how to get down.
I think this is a broader thing that I've noticed since the post-COVID lockdowns, people getting out and about, forgetting how to act. And even though it's been now 4 years, people still think they can just do whatever they want now.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to try and make some bigger claim, but I think we all lost a little something during that period.
Like brain cells?
Yeah. It seems like something changed.
I'll just put it this way. I killed a few.
The problem is, I don't think in crowds, though, I've ever seen people like really know how to behave. This dates back to like when I was going there as 17, 18, 19, 20. Like my friend group would just like stop in the middle of a walkway and it's like, this is the main aisle of Summerfest.
Right.
Move out of the way. There's thousands of people walking through here.
So I attended the, you're going to love this.
Uh-oh.
I attended the Natasha Bedingfield concert last night.
Weird.
Why weird?
You know 2 songs?
3.
Okay.
3. These Words.
Are you
Pocket Full of
not
Sunshine, and
familiar with Jack's Mannequin?
I actually realized I'm not.
Thought you were a real tune head.
Yeah. Somebody asked me that today. They're like, "You didn't go check out Jack's Mannequin?" I said, "I don't know who that is."
Crazy.
So anyway, I spent a little time with Gary Clark Jr. as well. He was terrific.
Slays the axe.
Yeah, dude, he sure does. Slays the axe indeed. He was great, but Natasha was fun, but it was so packed. And to your point, like the aisles to the seats.
She's doing numbers for having really. Let's be honest. She has one big song and a couple
2.
popular.
I would say Pocket Full of Sunshine is also massive.
Yeah, but Unwritten is like
huge.
Yeah, that's the one where like you see this happen at Summerfest all the time or any of these festivals. These people with literally one popular song can have massive crowds.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
And
Guys.
she did last night. It was huge. Yes.
I don't mean to break this up, but we actually have like something important. The Wisconsin Badgers are suing the University of Miami as of 12 minutes ago over the Xavier Lucas debacle. This is far more important than Natasha Bedingfield. Quote from CBS. This was literally the first article that I saw about this. Under the terms of the agreement between Xavier and Wisconsin Athletics, it remains in effect and enforceable. The Badger student athlete who has signed these agreements expect Wisconsin Athletics to honor the terms. In turn, Wisconsin Athletic relies on the student athlete representation in signing these agreements, and they will do the same. So basically, Wisconsin's accusing
Hunter.
Xavier Lucas of breaching the contract that he signed.
Breaking his NIL contract. Okay, so this is a certainly a first of its kind.
So what I think we need to do here is, and you might know, but I was going to go to Hunter for it since he seems most locked in on this stuff. What is I remember this happening. There was the not being released.
Yes.
To be able to transfer.
So he effectively was not allowed in the transfer portal.
And the reason he was not allowed into the transfer portal is because of.
He signed what I believe, and Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe it was a 2-year agreement with the University of Wisconsin. It's NIL Collective.
Yep.
Which I believe is still called the Varsity Collective. They may have rebranded at some point. So Xavier Lucas was this highly touted cornerback. For those of you that aren't in the loop on this, one of the best and most promising things of a bad Wisconsin football season last year was Xavier Lucas. Was a true freshman cornerback, had some really nice appearances and some really good games for them. And this offseason, when Wisconsin ultimately didn't make a bowl game and their season ended, everybody was excited about the potential of the defense backfield, led by Xavier Lucas. And then it came out, I believe in January or February, that Lucas was going to be transferring. Problem there is, though, Wisconsin had this contract, which allowed him, or stated that he would play there 2 years. And so Wisconsin said, you can't enter the transfer portal. You're under contract, effectively. And he visited Miami. He's from the Miami area. And he found a roundabout way in which he could literally withdraw from the academic side of things collegiately at the University of Wisconsin. And he enrolled in Miami despite still being under contract with the University of Wisconsin's collective. He then enrolled in Miami. Miami gave him a scholarship, and now he's on their football roster. But he has still not been released by Wisconsin.
Is the 2-year NIL agreement, is that unique across college
I believe
athletics?
it is becoming more popular. And I, if I'm not mistaken, I believe last year's recruiting class was the first where it was very normal. Yeah. You saw it a lot within that recruiting class for freshmen. And so, yes, but this lawsuit, this is kind of and look, we've referred to NIL and the transfer portal ever since this occurred back in 2021, when NIL was allowed in June of 21, so about 4 years ago now. It's been referred to as the Wild Wild West, right? There's no rules. You can do whatever you want. There's no salary cap, right? Universities can spend as much money as they have or want to on various NIL deals. There's no precedent. So this actually allows, it sounds like Wisconsin is going to be the trendsetter here, in terms of, hey, we have this kid's signature on a 2-year contract. He only did one. He left the university despite not being legitimately in the transfer portal at any point, and that's ultimately how we get here. So the Big Ten, just to do a little bit of cleanup before we get back to you, Joshy and Hunter, on any additional thoughts on this. A couple of things from this lawsuit, which was officially served today. Wisconsin said in a statement that they are reluctantly, quote, end quote, filing the suit, and they are, quote, committed to ensuring integrity and fundamental fairness in the evolving landscape of college athletics, end quote. The Big Ten Conference is helping Wisconsin and their collective with this lawsuit, the Big Ten Conference supporting the suit against the University of Miami. This is becoming a more and more thing, but this is certainly the biggest case of this, in which a player breaks a contract they sign with the collective. Now, it should be once again noted, Xavier Lucas did not sign a contract with the University of Wisconsin.
Right.
He signed a contract with the Varsity Collective, which is the NIL collective in which represents the University of Wisconsin. So it makes it really convoluted and complicated, because that is the state of college athletics as it stands right now. But this is fascinating, and this is going to be a really, really big deal.
Also, it is important to say that the university is filing a lawsuit on behalf of the collective here. Well, not like literally on behalf, but
it's a joint.
It's not their
effort.
contract.
It's not the university's.
Correct.
And Hunter, before you go here quickly, the one thing I'll say, and it's sort of how I felt about this, when this first started popping up and like the issues, I view it much like the tush push. I'm rather indifferent to the result of said lawsuit between Xavier and the university. I just wish the Badgers, in this sense, weren't the ones leading the charge.
Would you rather, this is a legitimate question I have before we get to real analysis. If Wisconsin plays a role in this, would you rather them be what they are and being the suee, or would you rather them be Miami and be the sued? because it shows they're making an effort.
I think it's big time.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah, I want my guys working every angle.
I'd prefer them to be on the flip side of this. Yeah, you know what I find so fascinating about the NIL thing in Wisconsin is that this is now the second thing they're leading the charge on. Do you know the other? They were the first school to do this.
Graham
NIL.
Mertz logo.
Do you have any idea? Bingo. Graham Mertz was the first player in college football to launch his own apparel. Back in 2021, I think.
I remember that. That was
a doozy. I attended their media day that
I wonder
fall.
how many tens of shirts they sold.
Well, yeah, I imagine it couldn't have been a lot.
I want to try and find one now.
I can say with confidence that I had never ran into anybody in Mertz gear.
I can also say that in confidence. Now, here's the thing. That's NFL quarterback Graham Mertz, too.
Yeah,
now.
put some respect on his name.
That's UFL quarterback Graham Mertz.
Future UFL MVP.
Future.
That'd be so fun.
Even Jay Sternberger.
That'd be so fun. Okay, so this is interesting. Yeah, Hunter, go ahead.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to say, too, is I was reading further into this article about this on CBS, where I found this. Xavier Lucas's lawyer they're arguing that what he signed with Wisconsin, it was only a memorandum of understanding and isn't an enforceable contract until this House settlement that just passed, saying that athletes could be paid directly by schools. So they're trying to argue that the contract doesn't work because the House settlement hadn't happened yet, even though he signed a contract with an NIL collective and an agreement with them. So it's very weird and it's very sticky. And the problem with all of this too is the fact that even if Wisconsin wins this, Xavier Lucas isn't going to be wearing the Motion W, which still hurts the Badgers and is what sucks here. So for Xavier, I understand, you want to go, dude, you signed a contract, you gotta, you should be staying, kind of a thing. But for him, there's a good chance he has to sit out a year here because of all of this, if this goes the way that Wisconsin hopes it does.
And I imagine ultimately it will, right? I mean, I would guess. But I don't know. I'm by no means a legal expert. This is going to drag on, would be my guess.
I don't think with any confidence we can say what's going to happen here.
No, I mean, it's
because there's being precedents set weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to see this through.
What's going to be wild?
That's the big one, right? It can't be an out of court settlement. This needs to go all the way through because you will need an answer and you will need some clarity on some of these rules.
Yeah. What's going to be wild about this, because I'm such a giant nerd, there's a few TikTok accounts that I follow who give the updates as the Supreme Court the Supreme Court gives their rulings on stuff. I'm probably going to see this case be talked about on that TikTok account, which is going to be wild because I have that's what this feels like is going to happen, is we're going to get a settlement in the first court. They'll appeal it. It's going to get bumped up then to a district court, and then it's going to go further then to the Supreme Court. So we're going to get writings on this from Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, and it's going to be wild.
I got distracted. You said,
I know,
and I quote, I'm going to be seeing TikToks about this. It's going to be wild. I got distracted.
My TikToks have all been about Karen Reed.
Who is that?
I have no idea.
She was a woman.
I've been seeing her everywhere.
Who was tried for murder
of her boyfriend. But she was found not guilty.
Go down the rabbit hole. It's worth your time. She was found not guilty. Her non-guilty heavily implies that there was a large multi-agency cover-up of police impropriety in an investigation and maybe even involvement in the death.
Is it inappropriate to ask if she's attractive?
Funny you say that.
I'm just wondering if that plays a role.
It kind of is, but...
It's funny you say that.
Why is that funny?
One of the major themes of the trial was the text messages between the police officers talking about her level of attractiveness.
So is the answer yes?
She is a nice-looking woman.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah.
She's older.
But there are...
I've never seen her.
There is one portion of this trial where text messages are being read from a group message. And
how inappropriate is it?
Wildly inappropriate. So much so that one of the men refused to read it.
What do you mean refused to read it?
He was asked to read it aloud, and he said, I'm not going to do that. He said, these aren't my words. I didn't type them. I'm not going to read it, even though he was in the group chat.
Wow. Okay. Well, now that we're talking about it in front of our phones, I'm sure I'll get a bunch of videos of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how we went from Wisconsin versus Miami to Karen Reed.
And Hunter getting TikToks.
Yeah, my Supreme Court TikToks.
Well, speaking of Supreme Court TikToks and Karen Reed TikToks and Wisconsin Miami TikToks,
could have just said, speaking of TikTok.
Somebody that's been on your feet a lot this week is one Giannis Antetokounmpo, the two-time NBA MVP and Milwaukee Bucks superstar. As his name continues to swirl in the headlines, he's taken control into his own hands. Well, kind of. By, just TikToking through it all. Hunter?
We're going to begin on Father's Day. So this past Sunday when all of the TikToks began, and Giannis was out here giving some great marriage advice for people involving pineapple.
This one right here is the one that's poisonous. Okay? Let's go.
Oh! Basta! No, it's poisonous. So I died first. Okay. You won. I see you killed me.
Where is my flat charger?
I don't know.
No, I'm serious.
I don't know. Don't ever trust your wife. Don't ever trust your wife.
Don't ever trust your wife, guys.
Okay. Got it, Giannis. Wait, what were they doing? I don't get it.
He just picked a pineapple that was poisoned and then was having them go back and forth eating them.
Wait, what do you mean it was poisoned?
He just randomly said, this one's the poisoned one. He's just being goofy.
I don't get it. Okay, I don't get it, but continue.
I know. It got 3 million views, though.
That's Giannis, baby.
Then Giannis got wild. This next video had the caption, when she tells me to get ready for baby number 5. Giannis and his wife Mariah have 4 children.
What's your nickname?
She don't want to say gonna no more. She might
Him.
start calling me him. Might start calling me him. I'm him. I need you making it hot. The stakes is high. The prices is high. I'm about to fly to Dubai. I'm gone. Horse and boot. HB on the tie. I with the 101 ride.
That's all you got. On Father's Day, Giannis telling everybody that he getting ready for baby number 5
of his own.
Yes.
That's good.
His next one, he just had a video. He's just talking in Greek. Couldn't find any way to translate that. So the comment section was very he's, for those that don't speak Greek, he's signing with blank team. But here's that video.
Ευχαριστώ. Παρακαλώ. Μπιφτέκι.
Παρακαλώ.
Ευχαριστώ. Χωριάτικη.
Ευχαριστώ.
Σουζουκάκια.
Παρακαλώ.
Patate.
What's he say? I don't know.
No idea what he's
you
saying.
You couldn't find a translation?
No.
So why are you playing it?
Because it was funny that the comment section was all just, he's signing with the Heat. He's signing with the Knicks. That was all on Sunday.
Mariah?
I believe that was Mariah.
Yes.
I didn't know she spoke Greek.
I was going to say, has she been teaching herself Greek?
She must have.
I mean, I would guess. They've been together for a while.
In the off season.
Yeah, languages are hard, though.
That's a good point by Josh. Good point by Josh.
Then we go to Monday morning. Giannis decided to take a DNA test, and he was shocked by the results. Now, again, Giannis being from Africa as well as then Greece, and these were the quote DNA results. Because it's kind of small, it was saying he is Malaysian and Hungarian, and he was very confused. So Giannis finding the filters.
Okay.
He went deeper down the filter rabbit hole on Monday, and his quote-unquote unk game came out.
He's like He's like a child who's just discovered TikTok for the first time.
Yes. And that's where TikTok
It's like-
started saying his Unk game came out.
It's like when your parents figured out Snapchat and the filters for the first time.
Yeah.
And they were so pleased by them turning into
Dogs.
Yeah.
The dog filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he then continued in the Unk mode on Tuesday with a little bit of a dance.
Stop saying that.
Unk mode.
And
I think I
again,
could pull that off.
yeah, that one's not too difficult.
I gotta say, if I was as rich as Giannis, you would not find me doing little dancey dance on TikTok.
Dancey dance.
I would just simply be being rich in a better way.
That's what makes Giannis cool, though. This is what makes him great.
Sure.
He then did some longer form videos on Wednesday, also went live a couple of times with Mariah, and those were just him answering questions and that. And
I believe I did see at one point Mariah said to him, "You are going to regret this in 2 months," in one of those videos.
yes. So she did
Which
call him
I
out for
tend
all
to
of the
agree with her.
cringe. Yes.
Yeah.
Never
We're
trust
only
your wife.
halfway through here, guys.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he's been going wild all week because I've been locked in on everything Giannis has been doing on social media, hoping to get some clue about where he's going to go. And I feel like he knows that and is just toying with me now.
So hold on. In any of the videos that you're about to show us, does anything about basketball come up?
Does the word basketball get uttered?
No.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
So this is then from Thursday. He had 3 videos that he posted, all within like
As
an
in
hour.
yesterday?
Yes. The first one, as he put it in the comments, he went to his Albert Einstein Kumpo doing some math with the filters. Can't put the sound with it. Would have been too many edits there. But he's just doing some math equations.
Okay. He's laying in bed playing math. 6 minus 1 is 5.
Yep. So just playing some math. He continued just laying in bed and decided to blind rank some celebrities. No
Okay,
idea.
who's that? I can't see from here.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. He put Leonardo DiCaprio 1. But he's just blind ranking celebrities. No idea if
That's a
this
controversial
is
take.
based on who he likes. He put J.K. Rowling number 2. So
Must be a Harry Potter guy.
yeah, no idea what this was. And then he continued the blind ranking by blind ranking some different brands.
TikTok 1, shocking.
Then he goes to fast food.
McDonald's, KFC, Burger King. Okay, Nike's obviously going to be 1 here for these brands.
Yes, with the shoe
Vans
brands.
2, Adidas 3.
Yep.
Good non-controversial list from him there on the brands.
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you be disappointed if you found out that Giannis was receiving payments to be active on TikTok?
I hope not. Because this has been fun.
Maybe.
We've got one more, too,
I don't
by
think
the way.
so.
Make it stop.
Giannis then posted this morning, he and Mariah went to the beach.
Where are they, Greece?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Are you just learning this?
No, not for the first time. I don't know. It's kind of were they the only 2 people on that beach?
Did you know
How
Greece-
private of a beach
Did
is
you
it?
know? Do you know Greece's location in Europe?
Could I point it out on a map? I think I could get close.
Okay, it's one of the most recognizable countries in Greece just based off of its shape. That's embarrassingly bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in
It
the world.
is quite recognizable.
Yeah.
You realize like its locality and the climate and what it lends itself to, right?
I guess I don't understand the question.
That beaches are common.
Well, yes, it's an island. Well, not an island. What's peninsula? Peninsula?
It's not an island.
Peninsula?
It's a couple of peninsulas and a lot of islands.
Can you pull up a picture of Greece for me?
Yeah, I'll get you a picture. Okay. Strouf, this is bad. All in all, guys, what I learned from Giannis's TikTok this week.
Oh, sure. It's right next to Turkey there.
That's what you recognize?
Agency?
Aegean?
I'm just going to let you try and figure this one out.
Anyway, I learned nothing from Giannis's TikTok,
islands.
and this was completely pointless, but I still had a good time trying to deep dive his TikTok.
Well, we're glad you had a good time, Hunter. I don't know if we did, but we're glad you did. Will, what'd you think?
Very profoundly informed that his favorite restaurant's McDonald's and KFC, then Burger King. I thought it'd be Burger King 2 instead of KFC.
To speed this up,
Yeah,
I did.
Thought he was a Chick-fil-A loyalist. To speed this up, it's a little late for that.
He did. He ranked his favorite. One of the blind rankings was fast food. Here, 1 second. Okay. So there was another video. I skipped over it. He blind ranks his favorite fast food.
To speed this up, please wait 1 second.
Hold on.
Here.
Chipotle, #1 pre-game meal. Chick-fil-A, no, 50 piece, baby, 50 piece. Chicken minis, #2.
Chicken minis.
So he put Chipotle.
You skipped the best one.
Should have started with that one.
You skipped the best one. Oh,
I thought
funny.
that I had
Do
the
you think
full
Giannis-
one of him doing all 10 and thought it would be too long. Forgot that I had the short one.
Where did he end up ranking Greece? I didn't see that. I mean, Greece. I'm looking at a map of Greece. Where did he end up ranking Chick-fil-A?
2.
Wow,
But it
I
was
can't believe he hasn't held a growed. Gee.
Okay, over there. What'd you just say?
Whoa.
Do I need to start teaching you words, buddy?
A grudge is what I wanted to say.
What did you say?
Growed.
Not even close.
Hey, take a lap. Take a lap. Take a lap. Take a lap. All right, every Friday, Joshy and I print out the story that we just didn't have time for.
I want you to read mine first this time.
Okay, I was going to ask Hunter who goes first.
I was going to say Josh goes first.
Well, I got bad news. I'm going first. This is headlined, The Hill.
Yeah.
Is that the publication? Or is this the name of the story?
Read and find out.
ChatGPT can harm an individual's critical thinking over time, a study released this month suggests. Researchers at MIT's Media Lab asked subjects to write several SAT essays and separated subjects into 3 groups. Using OpenAI's ChatGPT, using Google's search engine, and using nothing, which they called the brain-only group. Each subject's brain was monitored through
Real humdinger of word in there.
Sound it out.
electroencephalography, EEG, which measured the writer's brain activity through multiple regions in the brain. They discovered that subjects who used ChatGPT over a few months had the lowest brain engagement and consistently underperformed at a neutral linguistic and behavioral levels, according to the study. The study found that the ChatGPT group initially used their large language model, also known as LLM, to ask structural questions for their essay. But near the end of the study, they were more likely to copy and paste their essay entirely. Here's the thing. We didn't need an MIT survey to determine whether or not your critical thinking would be impacted when you can use a robot instead of your brain.
I think the big point here is adherence and consistent use of AI or ChatGPT, name whatever one it is quite literally making people stupider.
And I believe that.
Yeah. Which I don't think people realized that it's like affecting the way their brain works when they're so reliant on something else. And the anti-AI fight is a fight I'm going to keep pushing.
Yes.
I've seen people like when my friends were out and someone asks a question that isn't immediately available, instead of going to Google, they go to ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's like,
that's crazy.
But Google would give you the same answer.
Google would give you the answer.
Right. Why do we need the model to tell us?
Actually, I'm thinking we might be onto something here, Joshy. I think you might all of a sudden be more pro Wikipedia than ever.
I've long been pro Wikipedia. I don't try and make my case for being like a Wikipedia power user or trying to claim it's my favorite app.
It's my second favorite.
I use Wikipedia.
You want to know what my favorite app is?
Yes, the ESPN Wisconsin app, which you had to be corrected on multiple times before it stuck in your brain.
I got talked to by management when I tweeted that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Management had a word with me. Said, Strouf, ESPN Wisconsin app's your favorite.
It was within days of the release of the app.
It was a
that's
couple
tough.
weeks, but yeah.
No, it was days. It was a couple weeks as you trying to stretch it. It was within the week.
Was it really?
Yes.
All right, that's an all-time bad move by me. Do you think people were talking smack about me behind my back for that one?
Yes, I took part.
You know
Josh led the charge.
Back, right? Read the damn story, would you?
Well, hang on. Back to AI real quick. The buildings that they use to power those computers are also super bad for the environment and poison like the water and land. Yes. So AI sucks.
Yeah. All right, good take.
This is from the Associated Press out of London. Wow, it came preloaded with the music. Londoners have reported thousands of sightings of Pitbull this week. 305, Mr. 305.
Mr. Worldwide.
Galore.
Hey, baby.
With the bald head, goatee, and suit, he's pretty hard to miss. On closer inspection, though, it becomes clear that Mr. Worldwide is not actually everywhere all at once. In his stead, those are clones swarming London on their way to the O2 Arena to see him on stage. So I've seen this happening.
Yeah.
I have a friend that did this and went to his concert maybe at Summerfest.
Dressed up as him?
Yes.
Yes.
The goatee, drawn on. The bare head, bald caps in lieu of a dramatic shave. More than 2 decades into his career, the Miami superstar, who's hit from hotel room service to Timber and Give Me Everything to El Taxi, become permanent playlist staples on weddings, bar mitzvahs, and yes, He started noticing it took place in 2021, emerging after the pandemic. So this is a thing that's taken over most concerts, or I shouldn't say most. But people don't just go to concerts and wear the t-shirt of the band they're seeing or like, or one related. It's now like a costume party.
I love that.
I hate it.
Of course you do.
Yeah, of course I do.
It's very much the exact thing you would hate.
Yeah.
Which is why I chose the story.
You're going to a concert, but while you go, you're trying to say to everyone, hey, look at me.
All right, Will, I know Josh is your guy. But is it fair to say that Josh doesn't like fun?
No, he likes fun. He definitely likes fun.
But he likes making fun of other people's fun quite often.
He likes very specific fun, and it has to be on his terms, which would indicate to me he does not actually like fun.
I'm Team Hunter here.
Yeah, me and Josh are the exact opposite, but that's why it works. We're like fire and ice.
Because you would dress up as Pitbull if you went to a Pitbull concert.
Sure.
I would too.
Yeah, maybe.
I find any level of look at me in such egregious fashion,
which is just crazy to me given the career path you've chosen.
Yeah, I get to hide behind a microphone.
You're literally on 2 different YouTube channels right now.
Yeah, but I don't...
Saying, look at me and listen to my opinion about fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to post this video on Twitter and TikTok later, too.
This is an understood format. I'm being asked for my opinion. I could show up here and not give you opinions if that's what you'd like.
No, I very much wouldn't like that.
I don't think anyone would like that. But you're going to a concert. There's 10,000 other people there, and you want people to look and point at you and go, oh, my God, that's so funny. It's not that funny.
So you really hated when I did the split Wisconsin Marquette shirt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great move by me.
No.
Will?
Kind of cool.
Thank you.
It was his birthday, too, so you got to respect it.
No.
December 6th is your day before my birthday. So we could, in theory, by the way, we could go Saturday, Marquette, Wisconsin, Sunday, Packers, Bears. Just throwing that out there.
Ooh.
I don't know what you want me to do with that information.
I want you to book the hotel room.
No.
In one of the 2 cities.
Won't do it.
Okay.
We would.
Time now for what we missed.
Wait,
what we learned.
Josh, you wouldn't go with a collective a show group outing and do that.
Yeah, we're celebrating my birthday and we're going to games together.
And I think I got to do the dishes that day.
Again, hates
But
fun.
we missed what we learned. It's presented by Door County Distillery, locally produced,
I
handcrafted,
can't be
award-winning
seen in
spirits.
public next to him wearing that shirt. I can't be in an arena
shut
doing
up!
that. What's up, Door County?
DoorCountyDistillery.com is the website. Gins, vodkas, rums, brandies, and more. Graduation parties, tailgates, whatever you got going on. Elevate it. Door County Distillery. I've been drinking the maple barrel aged bourbon from Door County Distillery, which you can only get in Carlsville. Delicious. Well worth the money. And it's not that expensive. I mean, it's affordable. It's award winning. It's local. Support local. Drink local. Let's go. DoorCountyDistillery.com is the website. Okay. There was a story about Sal Frelick in like every publication in the country today. So we got to do it in what we missed. Lou Farinella is the name of a fan of the
that's
Chicago
his name.
Cubs. Yeah, just like couldn't make any more sense. Lou Farinella was sitting in the second row last night at Wrigley Stadium, or yesterday afternoon rather, at Wrigley Field, and Sal Frelick was up to bat, lost his bat, it got stuck in the net. Okay, it's very high up there. Lou Farinella took it upon himself to climb the net, which is a very dangerous decision, and pull the bat down. He ultimately retrieved the bat and returned to his seat when security approached him and did not kick him out. Props to Wrigley Field security for that, as Lou saw the bat and he just went up. Lou Farinella joined Wisconsin's Morning News on 620 WTMJ, the home of the Brewers, our sister station over at 620 WTMJ this morning. Here was his explanation of exactly what went through his mind when he climbed a net at Wrigley Field.
Just instinct. As I told the security, I'm like, hey, what's the difference between a bat and a foul ball? Like, you can go for a foul ball. I just went for the bat. And funny enough, like, that was the second time in my life I've actually gotten a bat like that was thrown into the crowd at a Cub game. The other time was I figured out it was 1997 when I was 17 years old. Funny enough, I was telling that story like a few innings prior, and then so when Frelick threw the bat, I don't know, it was sitting there dangling up, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go grab it.
So I think what makes this story all the more impressive is that Lou Farinella is 45 years old, and he climbed that net. That's a horrible idea.
So bad.
It's so bad.
He should have been thrown out.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I actually respect that they didn't.
It's like people at the bar who are like standing on chairs and tables.
Yeah.
It's extremely unsafe behavior.
And look at me behavior, which you hate.
It is. Look at me scale the like. There's a baseball game going on.
But also, I love how he started his answer with, it was instinct. And as I told the security, there's not a big difference between a ball and a bat, which that's not true at all.
That's categorically false.
This is similar to something I do where whenever somebody drops something, I like to yell fumble and jump on it.
What the hell did you just say?
You guys don't do that?
No.
I can't say I've ever heard of anybody.
I'm not
doing
hitting the deck very often.
I can't say I am either.
I'm not afraid to.
If somebody drops something, you yell fumble and jump on it?
Yeah, or I'll pick it up.
When I imagined it,
Yeah, I'm just a football guy.
I imagined you diving on it and then like hugging it like they do fumbles on the field.
Yeah, and then I pick it up and then point the opposite way of possession and run down with my teammates to the opposing end zone and do a dance in front of the camera.
You're so cool. What words did you learn today, Will?
We got highfalutin, which means pompous or pretentious. Josh keeps highfalutin about his knowledge of words and won't get off his high horse, is my sentence.
Yeah.
Clutching his pearls.
You didn't know what that meant?
What? An idiom used to describe a person feigning shock or outrage. I was clutching my pearls as I heard Josh disrespect my goat, Benson Boone. And then we got humdinger, a remarkable or outstanding person or thing of its kind. I am a humdinger.
It's a hell of a way to wrap up the week right there.
Well,
right.
we do have one
When
more.
did I say
Hang on.
humdinger?
Josh was right.
Yeah.
While you guys were talking about Matthew Golden and Xavier Worthy, Josh said that Golden was more dense. Officially on their Wikipedia pages, Xavier Worthy,
Yes.
5'11", 165. Matthew Golden, 6 foot, 191. So again,
There you go. Nice.
Shocking news.
Josh was right.
Very good. That's a way to end the week. Josh ends the week on a win. That will do it for us today. We're back with you Monday beginning at 12:30 Central, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube if you're watching us live. And if not, of course, you can find the podcast, YouTube, ESPN Wisconsin app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. 3 times a week we do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday beginning at 12:30 Central, although we will be off next Friday because Hunter and I are both off. So we're going to give you...
What are you guys doing?
I'm golfing.
Hanging out?
No, we're not
Took
together.
a day off to golf?
No, I took a day off just to take a day off.
Okay.
I'm going to be camping up in Door County.
I don't know if you've noticed this about me. I'm a hard worker. I don't take a lot of time off.
And you're saying it to the one person who works just as frequently as you.
That's not true. You take more time off than I do.
I have more time off.
Is that true?
How many years have you been here?
This is year 5, technically.
I've been here twice as long as you.
Oh, 10-year anniversary, huh? Congrats.
Yeah?
When's that?
Huh?
When's your 10-year anniversary?
Next month.
We having a party?
No.
That's a big deal. Well,
We are making this the most look at Josh episode ever when that hits.
Yep.
We're going to dress him up as Pitbull.
Yep. Give him a
No,
ball
we're all
cap.
going to dress up as Josh.
Oh, I better get the beard growing out.
Dust off my finest flannel.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I won't
dust
have
it
to do
off.
much other than put a hat on.
I
But
was going to say, Hunter, you're not far away.
That's true. That's true. All right, we got to go. We're way late. Whoops. Well, management's going to yell at me about this now. So thanks, Joshy. I blame this one on you. Back with you Monday. Make decent decisions. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you Monday. Peace.